Today's episode sponsored by our friends at Famous Faces and Funnies, located in Melbourne, Florida. Hey, tap into the Florida market and check out their live auctions. Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of Codename New 2. Hi, I'm your presenter, Shabu, are you? Well, welcome to 2024, and we're going to start off this year with a wonderful G1 reissue. I've been focusing on these Walmart exclusives that have been kind of flying below the radar that I don't know why, but some reason are not showing up in a lot of stores, but you're able to get via walmart.com. And I love these G1 reissues. Yes, I'm known for G.I. Joe and G.I. Joe comics, but you know what? Us Gen Xers, it's like the right foot is in G.I. Joe and your left foot's in Transformers. So I think these are wonderful additions, and they're really, really impressive. Just the fact that they're carbon copy reissues of the iconic G1 80s toys, even down to the die cast metal. I love that. It just shows the level of quality that modern toys cannot hold a candle to. Like, we're talking about the G.I. Joe classifieds and stuff, and a lot of people are talking about QA issues with these and stuff. You won't see that with these. These are made out of rubber and good old-fashioned metal, so I love that. So today's character is actually kind of interesting, since I mentioned G.I. Joe. It's the one character that everybody wishes that could kind of cross into the G.I. Joe world. And I'm talking about good old Hound, the Autobot scout. Again, it's coming into that regular, the movie packaging that is windowless. This is all the paper thing. So we're going to take a look at good old Hound. And here's the thing about Hound is, what's interesting about Hound is he was supposed to be Spike's sidekick, or him and Spike were supposed to go off to do all the adventures, as we see in More Than Meets the Eyes, the first episode. But Bumblebee eventually took over that mantle and ran with it. So let's take a look at G1 Hound. And here is the packaging for Hound. And again, it's just following that same template for the movie line that they've been issuing. But what's kind of cool about this is, if you guys remember, the background that he has is when Optimus Prime echoed that famous "Megatron must be stopped, no matter the cost," as he descends onto Autobot City. People forget that Hound was actually behind him during that sequence. I'll put up a clip there. But yeah, that's the background of this. Gosh, that's how many times I watched that freaking movie. I can remember shit like that. And we see Unicrons on the top. That is pretty cool. I've been kind of critical of these box arts, but they're starting to grow on me, actually. I think that, they are a really good reflection of the movie. And there we have his transformation sequence. And the back follows the same template, a abbreviated text spec. Again, that little red filter is no longer included. So you get a kind of like a darker blue to kind of showcase his abilities and talents. Function is Scout, and then all the other different languages underneath it. I like Hound a lot. Like I said, it's an iconic Willys Jeep. It's just a sad thing that he could not, as we'll see really soon, that there's no way in hell he could fit into the G.I. Joe universe and cross in between. He was too small. But the thing is also, you notice here, there's a big difference. Like, the prototype on this is a lot darker green, more reminiscent to the actual G1 1980s action figure versus what we got. You'll see it's a little bit of a lighter green. So let's take a look at Hound and unbox this guy. Alrighty, so here we have Hound, and again, this is part of Hasbro's plasticless packaging that's across all the lines from G.I. Joe Classifieds to Star Wars Legend. Alrighty, so here we have Hound out of the packaging, and right off the bat, like I mentioned before, the coloring of this is a lot lighter than the 1980s G1 offering from Hasbro. This thing, the green is a lot lighter, and like I mentioned with the Seekers that came out in the movie line, it's missing a lot of sticker applications, and that could be easily corrected by going to toyhacks.com and ordering the stickers and putting them on yourself. So that would be kind of a cool thing to do. But again, rubber wheels. The wheels are nice and rubber. Again, metal here. Everything is basically identical to that offering, even down to the accessories. Down here, we have his missiles, we have his laser gun, and his little rocket launcher. I really love this figure. And like I mentioned, it's just such a shame that as kids we could not cross this over into the G.I. Joe universe. I mean, we'll bring out old Snake Eyes here. there's no way Snake Eyes can fit into this Jeep. And I like to thank, since I have the Snake Eyes up, this was a Christmas gift from our good friends at Simple Tricks and Nonsense. So if you haven't, make sure you go and check them out and check out their new Sith Crush offering. So our good friend Rebecca is going into a cyborg 80s retro character and doing some amazing artistic yet heart-pounding imagery. So I'm going to leave it at that. I think you should check it out. I'm a big fan and supporter, and I think you should be too. It's really, really good stuff there. Anyway, let's go back to Hound. And so obviously he cannot fit into the G.I. Joe universe, which is kind of sad. And again, just not trying to beat a dead horse, but if Serpentor's chariot dwarfs Hound, then there's no way in hell you could bring Hound into the G.I. Joe universe. But still, one can imagine. And often at times us children did. But what I like about this is like the little things, like you have the gas canister, which is, this is something you have to keep an eye out for because this could be easily lost, as well as his spare tire. So these two things are often lost with the original ones, but in this case, now that we're adults, we can keep track of that. So let's go ahead and transform. And I love how the wheels, look at that. Just the little basic things that make me happy. And that little noise, that's rubber. Anyway, let's transform Hound. And real quick, here's the instruction booklet that accompanies Hound. Pretty much a walk down memory lane. But again, nothing too extravagant. Pretty simple, bare bones. And again, they're good reference points because I actually had to check this out, remembering how to transform Hound myself. So it's like, oh yeah, that's right, I have to do that. Oh yeah, nowhere as complicated as these were for Cybertron figures, which were a pain in the ass. I never thought I would be saving instruction booklets for these guys, but God forbid I have to transfer them again. It's like, I mean, it's more complicated than anything I learned at Rutgers. This thing was a pain in the ass to do. So I would hate to transform Optimus back into truck mode. So let's go ahead and get that transformation underway. And here we have Hound in his robot mode. And again, the simplicity yet the sturdiness of this figure is just beautiful. I mean, nothing fancy, nothing outrageous, not even overly complicated, but yet when you look back and you think about it, in the era that was no computers, no CAD programs, nothing, how quote unquote engineers and designers were able to do this is absolutely mind boggling. I think that's the thing when you look back with your adult eyes that you have to marvel at, is that somebody sat down with a freaking piece of paper and graphing paper and created these amazing, iconic pieces. And that is what I walk away with now as an adult. But again, let's take a look a little bit deeper into Hound's transformation. What we did, pretty simple. Like, the front end, it pulls out a little bit to give you a little bit of separation, and then both ends fold, and the arms are tucked in what would be the the front axle of the car. So you see his wheels are back there, and you have a very limited range of motion, obviously, with the hood. Your arms could could just go 90 degrees. Basically, that's it. This is it. You can see that joint, so it's just, that's about it. And even that is a little bit blocked because of the fender in the front. But the head sculpt matches the G1. A little bit of the blue eyes versus the 80s toy. Again, they did that with the faces. Now, let's have him next against his leader, Optimus. And you see the towering difference between Hound and Optimus Prime. And in the G1 cartoon, I mean, Optimus was taller, but it wasn't that big of a gap. And then, of course, we have a mini bod. We'll use Power Glide, just to give you an idea. So just the scale between all three classes. So that's that. And then when we have him against Starscream, now this is the first wave of the reissue. So they made another Starscream that is more, the face sculpt is different, kind of looking like his Sunbow animated series face. But this, the first time it came out, they kept the stickers and they kept the face. So I stuck with this one. I didn't get the new Starscream as I did with Thundercracker and Skywarp. You see their face sculpt is a little bit different. But again, this is a wonderful line, and for some reason, I don't know why people are not finding it in the stores. Now, the other thing is that they're going for like 30, they're supposed to go for around 30-35 bucks retail. But, within Walmart, they have other stores there that are selling these for like 50. And what was cool about Hound is he was sitting there for a while in my basket, and then he went on sale just before Christmas. So he dropped down from $35 to I think $13, and that's when I scooped him up, because I've been hoping that his price would get knocked down. But that's the weird thing. Once Walmart runs out of stock, these little stores within Walmart.com pick it up and they'll sell it. So people are like, oh, I bought it off of Walmart.com, but I paid $50 for it. Well, check where it's being shipped from. If it doesn't say being shipped from Walmart.com, then it's one of these stores that function within Walmart.com. If that isn't more complex than it is. But going back to Hound, let's talk a little bit about his character arc. Like I said, in the first miniseries, More Than Meets the Eyes, he was originally Spike Witwicky's. He was supposed to be his sidekick, but then it switched to Bumblebee, and ever since then, Hound kind of had a diminished role after that first season. He was slowly being phased out until we see him again in Transformers the movie, in that iconic scene with Optimus Prime. But he was a big fan of Earth. He loved Earth. He wished he was an Earthling himself, and that, I guess, coincides with being a Willie's Jeep. You know, all terrain, everything, mountain, snow. He loved it all. He loved Earth, so that's what made him unique in the Transformers lore. Well, anyway, that does it for this episode. I know, short, but let's keep it short and sweet. We have many more toys to look at. And of course, we got to get back into our bread and butter, the comics. We're going to actually start doing Transformers. So I want to do the whole Void Rivals, Transformers, G.I. Joe, Energon verse. So if you're not reading the comics, and even if you are, this is the headquarters to talk amongst friends. And let's keep Transformers and G.I. Joe going and pass it down to the next generation. This is Shabu Are You?